so on. But no, he appears to be the slightly taller man. I'm going to stick with my original prediction on this, and I'm taking Vergil Ortiz to win. I'm definitely in a minority, at least amongst my subscribers, who are overwhelmingly picking Madrimov. Yeah, I'm going to go against the grain, and I'm saying Ortiz wins this fight on points. I wouldn't even rule out a stoppage late for Ortiz, but I'm going to say Ortiz on points. Madrimov has the boxing skills. He's got that old school Eastern Bloc Soviet style, which is very effective. But I think that style is more effective against boxers, like Terence Crawford. Guys who are going to give him time and space and range and not crash the pocket, as Dwyer likes to say. Ortiz isn't a reckless pressure fighter, but he will run red lights here and there. And he does like to get in there, hit you in the body and so on. And so I think Ortiz's style will be more effective against Madrimov than Terence Crawford's style, where he was trying to box and what have you. Because I think Ortiz is going to impose himself more. Could be wrong, but that's what I'm going for. I'm going for Luis Ortiz to win this fight on points or on a late stoppage. So let's move on to the next one then. Carlos Adames versus Hamza Shiraz. Now, I've been going back and forth about this fight as well. If these guys were a similar height and naturally a similar weight, I would definitely be taking Carlos Adames. I think he's versatile, he's explosive, he's got a great punch variety, he is tough, good work rate, throws a lot of shots, got power, speed, all that type of stuff, switch hits. So again, if these guys were a similar size, I'd be going for Carlos Adames. But of course, they're not a similar size. Hamza Shiraz is much bigger. Adames started out as a welterweight, and he's moved up now to 160 pounds middleweight. Hamza Shiraz is an enormous middleweight. There was somebody in the live chat yesterday who was saying that Adames has been sparring David Benavidez and Diego Pacheco for this fight. I mean, that is fantastic preparation, but it all depends on whether you've been doing well enough in those spars with those guys for the sparring experiences to pay off. Because if you've just been getting battered, it may not help you. It may actually hinder you if you're sparring too tough. Now, I don't think he will have been getting battered because he's very wily and tricky and crafty. Carlos Adames. Shout out to James Clifford for the super chat, by the way. I will get onto your super chat in just a moment and read it out, but thank you very much. I'm just going to finish this thought with regards to Hamza Shiraz and Carlos Adames. So, Shiraz is a very, very big guy at 160 pounds. He's really come into his own. He trains in America. He's trained by an American-based coach. He's sparred in those tough gyms. He's been in all sorts of situations, I'm sure, and come up against all sorts of styles in those gyms. So I don't think he'll be particularly shocked by what Adames does. I think Adames is going to have success early. But once Shiraz, and this is what I'm expecting to happen, once Shiraz establishes his jab and starts getting into a rhythm, I think he's going to take over the fight. I could be completely wrong, okay? But yeah, I think Shiraz's reach and his power and his physical strength and his ability to impose himself will win the day in the end. And just to put things in perspective, Adames weighed in at 158.1 pounds. So again, 2 pounds under the 160 pound limit, which shows you what a small middleweight he is. Shiraz weighed in at 159, a pound under the limit. He's straining at the leash in this particular weight class. It's possible, I'm not predicting this, but it's possible that this might be his last fight at 160 pounds, particularly if he loses. I would expect him to move up right afterwards, depending on the nature of the loss. And even if he wins, he might only stick around for 1 or 2 more fights in the weight class. We shall see. But yeah, I fully understand why there are quite a lot of people out there picking Adames to win this fight. Because again, if they were a similar size, I'd be picking him. But I do think Shiraz's, physical dimensions, power, strength, and so on will be a little bit too much in the end. But we'll see. It's a good fight. So get into the super chat then before we move on to the other fights and the other weigh-ins. James Clifford says, Hatman, do you think Bakole has to do a Bone Crusher Smith versus Tim Witherspoon and just go all out, similar to when he was a last-minute substitute? It really depends on how good a shape Martin Bakole is in. We're all speculating about what shape he's in. Billy Nelson, his coach, has done many interviews over the past few weeks even. And he's spoken about Martin Bakole being in the gym sparring. This was long before he got this fight with Joseph Parker. I'm talking about over the past month or so. I've seen interviews with Billy Nelson talking about Martin Bakole sparring this afternoon. Do you know what I mean? Back then. So he might be in better shape than we realize, at least in terms of cardiovascular fight fitness, because there is a difference between that and aesthetic shape. Martin Bakole, for the longest time, has been a guy who looks fat and out of shape, but he's actually cardiovascular fit, right? He looked fat and out of shape against Jared Anderson, but he was cardio fit. He looked even more fat and out of shape against Carlos Takam, but he was cardio fit. So it all depends on where he's at in terms of cardio fitness. If he's not in any type of shape, if he's only got, let's say, 5 good rounds in him, then absolutely he needs to go out there just like Bone Crusher Smith in the Tim Witherspoon rematch and lay it all on the line and try to take Joseph Parker out as quickly as he can. Because